Welcome to another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast. Today we have a very special guest, kind of one we've hinted at prior episodes that we've been working to get on here, and it's finally kind of came to fruition after some delays. We have legendary Kentucky high school coach Jim McKee with us today. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward to being on. Appreciate you guys asking me. And I love football, my family, and I love our family farm. So I already got my gear on ready to go. So as soon as I hang up with you guys, I'm riding in my truck, and we're trying to finish up stripping our tobacco crop.
Now, you said you'd been at, Scott County for what, 20... No,
I've been at Scott County High School 24 years.
24 years, yeah.
Next year will be my 25th. I was a head coach at Oldham County High School. It's a great school system. Metro Louisville, Kentucky for 2 years. I was an assistant coach for 3 at Montgomery County. So, I'll be starting my 30th year of high school coaching next fall.
Now, before we get into kind of what we're going to talk about today in terms of practice and all that, have you run the wing tee the entire time you've been there?
We have run the wing tee the entire time we've been here, yes.
How has that evolved for you guys over that 24-year period?
Well, when I became the head coach in 1995 at Oldham County High School, I hired a guy named Mike Jackson to be the offensive coordinator. Mike is now an assistant coach at Mayo and was the head coach at Oldham County for a period of time. After I left, was a head coach at a couple other schools, had a very successful career as a head coach, tremendous football coach, one of the best ones I've ever worked with. We played college football together, and we knew we wanted to coach together, probably maybe like you and Michael, you're friends, and you've got these ideas, and you think, well, now, if you get a head coaching job, I'll come run the defense or, whatever.
Yeah.
And so Mike had been at Henderson County, and Henderson was running the wing tee, and he was going to run the offense. And so that's what he said he wanted to put in. And, I just said, okay, my focus was going to be the defense, and I trusted Mike. And he's probably a better wing tee coach right now than I am. But so that's where it started, and it's evolved, and it's got to evolve right now for us a little bit. We're a little stagnant on some stuff. We're not quite as effective doing some things right now over the last couple of years. So, I'm spending a lot of time this winter looking at some ways to adjust what we're doing right now to make it a little bit better.
Okay.
And people catch up with you. If Michael's coaching school A and Nicholas is coaching school B and they're going to play repetitively, you're not going to fool Michael 3 years in with the exact same plays that you fooled him with in year one. So it's a wing tee concept, wing tee principles, wing tee philosophy, and some of that's got to change a little bit for us. That doesn't mean we're not going to run some wing tee. Like, we haven't run jet in several years. Haven't run any jet. Okay, well, we maybe need to go back and start running some jet and some of the complements off jet and run less belly.
You hit the nail on the coffin. I think the one thing people refuse to do, and I think anyone's guilty of it, we play a 9-league game together up at Fairborn. And I've coached in the league before that for like 4 years, and then I came to Fairborn, and we all merged into one league. We left a certain league and joined. So we play each other every year. We play each other. So, I remember last year, my first year being a DC, we played a flex bone, and I evolved into something completely different, put together 3 different defenses, and shut them down this year. And next year, he'll probably have something even better. You know what I mean? To rebuttal for mine. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's just, if you don't evolve, you're going to get good coaches, man. They're just going to come up, and you just got to be creative how you attack them.
And I'm going to tell you this. Now, I'm not that familiar with the Dayton area just because I'm not, But Cincinnati football is really good. We've played Elder, we've played Moeller, we've played LaSalle.
Oh, they're insane.
We've played all 3 of those schools in home series. I'm familiar with Cincinnati St. X. I've been there and did some stuff with their staff at one time. And a story I like to tell, in Kentucky, we're a little guilty of not doing a good enough job coaching in some aspects. And here's the example I'll give you. Oftentimes we'll be playing a JV game, and you'll look down on the other end, and maybe even our end, and you're basically just getting it all together. Making sure you got the right people on kickoff, making sure you got the right people on kickoff return. Just really kind of just want to put a presentable product out there. We're at Elder playing a JV game a few years ago, and it was a late pickup deal where they had a date where they needed one and we needed one, and it's a great experience. I'm sure you all have either seen or been to the pit, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't, you got to go. And I would tell your listeners, go to the pit. We played at the pit. It's awesome. But anyway, so we're down there warming up for the JV game at the pit. They're down on the other end with the book, the scout book that they had used the year before when we played them in varsity, and they've got a scout team running their wing T plays against their defense. And so, Cincinnati, Ohio football, greater Cincinnati area is really good.
Oh, yeah.
And it's extremely well coached.
So when I first got out of high school, that's the only year I've not coached football. And so there was a team, Moeller played kind of in the height of Moeller. They played a team called Xenia, which is kind of like 15, 20 minutes around from where I live. So I said, there's always an infatuation about Moeller in Ohio. So I drove down and watched Moeller, and how well coached and organized it was. You could see, like, the 1st and 10, they had their base 4-3 in, 2nd and long, nickel, 3rd and long, their dime package. Everyone knew when to come off. You know what I mean? It was like a rehearsal, man. And then offense, they would go from 20 personnel to 11 personnel to 12 personnel, but like hurry up. And they held up number systems, and how fast they were moving and up tempo and calling the plays in was, I just kind of knew, man. I mean, it probably helps that they have 14 to 20 coaches on staff, and
it does help, but at the same time,
still, man,
you got to take your situation, whether you're at Fairborn or you're where we are, wherever you are, and you got to find ways to maximize it every year. People say, Coach, you're getting older, maybe you're going to retire. Hell no, I'm not going to retire. Why am I going to retire? I love coaching. I'm better at it right now, I would hope, than I was when I was 41, better than when I was 31, okay? And so every year, no matter the results of your season, you're going to try to find ways to do things better and eliminate the excuses, which we're all guilty of doing. We're all guilty of making these. You can't control the talent level of the team you play. And sometimes you're just going to lose because the team is just better than you. Their players are too good compared to your players. But what you do control is the output of the individual and the team that you're coaching on their scale of how good can they be. We're at max output. This is our ceiling. Our offense lined up correctly every snap, and we tried to get the right hat on the right person. Now, sometimes we got whipped and we got tackled. Same for our defense. Our defense is lined up correctly, whether, like you said, it's 2nd long, you want this certain package in. It's 1st down, they're in this formation, you want this look. We did everything we can do to help our team be successful. Guys, that's coaching.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're only that, and if your only goal is to win the state championship, if you're not at Lowell Trinity or Archbishop Hovind or whatever, you're going to be disappointed a lot of years. I wasn't disappointed this year. I'm sad that we lost, but we were 7-1. We lost to a team that had 2 kids in the ESPN top 300. I mean, they were more talented than we were. Mm-hmm. But I'm still always going back and looking for ways. How can we maximize what we do? And when you all were talking about Wing T, that team and a couple others have caught up to us a little bit, and it's time to do something a little different.
Correct.
I love that. I love the thought process of that. I mean, at the end of the day, man, you got to put your kids in the best situation to win their one-on-one battle. And after that, man, it's up to the Jimmys and Joes of the world to battle it out. But I mean, like I said, if I can get lined up right and then execute my assignment, I trust our technique is going to win every time. And if a technique, and at that point, man, if we're not putting our kids in a great situation, that's on us. If they're not executing, that's on us. But now we know what we need to go into the off season. Okay, what drills do we need to do? Or what are some more? Do I need to change a step? Is it a flatter step? Is it not as flat a step? Is it, maybe just a little bit of a tweak of what we do? So, but as long, that's probably the hardest part about the off season is.
Well, and you have to really focus in on very specific things that you want to improve. Mm-hmm. Or if not, you'll look around and it'll look great, and Michael will be coaching defense. You'll tackle 44 rings during practice. You'll jump over 86 billion bags. You'll do all these things that look great in these drills, and then it'll come time to line up. Your guys won't be lined up right. They won't be in good stances, and they won't take good first steps. You got to spend your time on A, can I get them lined up right? B, can I get them in a great stance? C, can I get them to take the exact first read step I want them to take?
100%.
So let's get going, guys. All right, guys, here we go. My name's Jim McKee. I'm the head football coach at Scott County High School in Georgetown, Kentucky. We're a Class 5A school. There's my email address. There's my cell phone number. There's our Twitter. I would really appreciate a follow on Twitter from anybody out there, or a shout out from this podcast, and be more than happy to follow you guys back. Today, Wednesday, December 29, 2020, about 9:30, I'm on the Gap Down Backer podcast. I really want to thank Nicholas and Michael for inviting me to do it. I enjoyed talking with them a little bit prior to going live on this, and always exciting as a guy who's 51 years old, who's been in the business for a long time, to see younger coaches doing the things that these guys are doing. Special thanks. I think anytime you have an opportunity to talk about your program, don't forget the people that are helping you with your program. Coach McIntyre has been here with us for 23 years. Coach Willard's been here since 2004. Coach Davis since 2013. Coach Travis and Coach Trent, they both played here for us. Coach Travis graduated in 2002. Coach Trent graduated in 2000. They both teach and coach in our building. Coach Hall is our freshman coach, teaches at our middle school. Our trainer, Coach Volpe's been here for 21 years. He's outstanding, and appreciate the work from Coach Fee. He teaches at our high school. So really appreciate our coaching staff, appreciate our school leadership team, Dr. Hub, Mr. Wells, Coach Helton, Mrs. Williams, Mr. Clement, Mr. McIntyre, Mrs. Prather. Thank you guys for your support of Scott County football. It's important that we have a good football team to you guys, and important to our community and school, and we couldn't do it without you. And last and certainly not least, most thanks goes to our players and our parents for their dedication to Scott County football. Typical in-season week of practice is what I'm going to talk about. I'm not really going to talk much about wing T stuff. I'm not really going to talk much about the format of the practice. I'm just going to give you the layout, and anybody is more than welcome to contact me at any time via any of the ways I left on the intro slide for more specifics. Number one, especially do this during the off season, especially I've been guilty of doing this when maybe we haven't been as successful as I've wanted to be that particular season, our staff has wanted us to be, and you see somebody who is. And so here goes Michael running over to Nicholas' school looking for the blueprint. Hey guys, the blueprints don't work. The blueprints are just a general idea. Every school has its own dynamics. Every school has a slightly different setup for weightlifting. Every school has a slightly different time schedule that you get in and out. Every school's coaching staff is slightly different. So don't think that you can just take this particular blueprint and go implement it. We're hungry, meaning us as a program, you guys as coaches, go look for help, but stay hungry in that don't look for the complete meal that you can just go get from somebody else and eat it and everything's perfect. Okay? Just go get the bits and pieces that you can get from that meal, but stay hungry. And that's what my personal approach to clinics and podcasts, et cetera, are, is to try to pick up something small, one little thing that I can do to help our program. I already mentioned that if questions exist about any detailed aspect of this, contact me directly. All right, here we go. The game's over on Friday. What do? we can't have a Q&A, I don't guess, with Nicholas or Michael, but, you know, if I were doing this live and I was making this presentation in front of a group of people, you know, right now I stop and say, okay, game's over. What do you do? This is what I'm going to do. And this is what our staff's going to do. We're going to arrive at the field house, or if a home game, either way, we're going to get back to the building, and this is what I want to accomplish before I go home. I'm going to work on the laundry. I'm going to get 2 or 3 loads of the laundry done. I'm going to do the film exchanges on Hub. I'm going to share the film with the coaches and the kids. I'm going to watch the film from start to finish, and I'm going to make my notes as the head coach. Now, I'm the offensive coordinator. For the most part, I let the defensive coordinator and the special teams coordinator do their thing. They are very respectful of me. They understand I'm the head coach. If there are a few little things I want to mention about defense, I do, or about special teams. But I make my notes for me. Now, all the coaches go home. I'm going to upload the stats on the state website, and I'm not even going to think about sleeping. I'm never even going to think about it. It's 2 in the morning, it's 3 in the morning, it's 5 in the morning. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to do that every Friday night after the game, win or lose. And the reason why is, for me, mentally, I want the game over with on Friday night. And when the next thing I do, I want to start getting ready for the next opponent. Now, Michael might be sitting there thinking, that guy's nuts. That might not work for him, okay? I mean, I got to go eat pizza after the game on Friday night and celebrate and this and that. You know what? We won the state championship in 2013. We finished 15-0. I celebrated from then to whenever we started weightlifting back enough that, you know, I got my celebrating done. And we've been to 3 other finals since I've been here, and I want to get back to that. And I'll eat the pizzas during the off season.
Now, has that always been your schedule, Coach, on Fridays, or is that kind of morphed as years have gone on?
A long time.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't sit here and say, it's been more than 10 and less than 20.
Okay.
You know, but pretty much, yes. Occasionally, I don't want to say that I've never gone to the local pizza joint after a game with friends, but that's been a long, long time ago. You know, everybody's at a different point in their lives. And so, you know, I'm 51 years old. I'm single. My children are 25, 22, and 19. They all played for me. They're awesome kids. Clay, Colby, Cade. But they're not playing for me now. They're either graduated from college, going to graduate, or in college. So I'm proud of them, but they've got their life to live. So I've got the time and the energy, and it really works good for me. Saturday, our coaches are off. In some cases, we play JV games. In some cases, we don't. We have sort of a gerrymandered JV schedule. We play some JV games on Saturday mornings. We play some JV games on Monday nights. If we do play a JV game, we have 3 coaches that coach that game. Myself, the offensive line coach, and the linebacker coach. I call all the plays. Somebody would say, well, Coach, you know, I mean, look, I want to do it. I want to work with the quarterbacks that are coming up. I want to work with the young kids. Our other offensive coaches, I think if I go to them and say, here's your options, you can get back up on Saturday morning at 8 and be here to have the JV game against Fairborn, or you can rest and get ready for the week of practice. They're probably going to pick rest and get ready for the week of practice. Otherwise, if we don't have a JV game on Saturday morning, nobody associated with our program is required to come to the field house. The field house is closed. Our coaches do their work via huddle at their houses, etc. Now, a long time ago, we came in on Saturday morning. I quit doing that. I don't like it. The players are tired. I don't like it. You know, we had issues with people occasionally would miss. We now work on Sunday, and it works a lot better for us. 9 a.m., the defensive staff comes in to break down the opponent. That's what works for the defensive staff. You know, they could come to me next year and say, Coach, you know, we want to do our breakdowns at, 6 o'clock Sunday nights. I'd say fine, whatever. They come in and they have for years at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning to break down the opponent that we're going to play. At 1 o'clock, the defensive line and the linebackers, varsity only, watch the Friday night game film. So they know who's responsible for coming in. If Michael Derry's coaching our defensive line, I'm not going to micromanage him. You know, now if I walk in that film room and you don't have any grade sheets and I think you're flying by the seat of your pants, I'm going to wait till the film session's over and I'm going to say, Derek, you know, you've been out all weekend wearing those crazy holiday shirts and you haven't been grading any film. Now get your butt in there and get your daggone film grade. But our guys do it, and our linebackers, they watch in another film room. Then at 2 o'clock, we have a team lift. Offense, defense, I run it. Why do I run it? Because, you know, now we were 6A for years. The school split here in 2019. So we went from having roughly 135 to 140 people in the program now to about 95. So when we were at our largest and when we were total to the platoon, I just got this little vibe that, you know, if the offense scored 35 points and the defense gave up 32, that the offensive people were like, we got to play better defense. And if the defense gave up 10 and the offense could only score 7, and I didn't like that. So that's when I installed that team lift on Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, and I run it all offense, defense, varsity only. And I get after them hard as I can for an hour in the weight room. 3 o'clock, the defensive players go home. The offensive skill and O-line watch the game film from Friday night. 4 o'clock, the offensive staff makes a game plan for the opponent. Our coaches make the grades and the notes. That way they'll be shown. I trust my coaches to do it. They take pride in it. So that's what Sunday is. So Friday night, I'm doing all those things I talked about on Friday night, all the way down to entering the stats on the state website. Saturday, I'm going to watch college football, sleep, go watch my sons play, whatever. Sunday, that. Monday, we play all our freshman games on Monday. Our freshman coaches handle everything related to that game. I attend if at all possible. Sometimes it's impossible. If we're playing an hour away at 6 o'clock and we start practice at 3:45 and I can't get done with practice until 5:45, I can't get to the freshman game till 6:45, I'm not going to go. But that's rare. We play some JV games on Monday. Same set of JV coaches handle it, and they're double headers. So we're going to play Fairborn High School's freshmen at 6 or JV at 7:45. A few kids might need to take part in varsity practice and also play in the JV game, and they do that. And they wear a helmet and a helmet only, and there's a designated time that they're released. What to do with JV kids after school on Mondays? We used to try to keep them and feed them, and it really pushed our staff thin because I wanted everybody on the field. So I'd say 8 to 10 years ago, we cut the JV kids loose on Monday after school, and we tell them what time to be back. And it's worked great. It's been a 100% non-issue. Weight class on Monday's always power clean day. Sunday afternoon's always bench and squat. Weight class is always power clean. You know, we're fortunate at our school. I know our principal, Mrs. Williams, there's about a 1% chance she's ever going to listen to this podcast. And I get it. There's a 1% chance I'm going to listen to her podcast about something about running high schools.
Yeah.
But if she were to listen to this podcast, I would just tell her, you're the best, you're awesome. Your support of our weight class means everything to our program. Now, be careful in coaching to say always, never, every. We don't have every football player in weightlifting class, but we have almost every football player in weightlifting class. You know, there's always a Nicholas Bandstra who he's got to have band fourth, he's got to have AP such and such third, and he wants to co-op or whatever. You know, so if we've got 100 players, we might have 5 or less that have some type of little conflict. And also just our parents support it. And if for whatever reason we're having any trouble getting a kid into class, you know, our parents make that call to the guidance counselor about, hey, Nick, we got, what do I got to do here? But I got to have Nicholas. It's got to either be in first or second hour weightlifting with coach.
Yeah. How long have you guys had weightlifting class?
Not forever. When I was your age, I was kind of dumb's not the right word. I wasn't well informed about weightlifting class. Plus, I thought if you needed to stay at the field house 18 hours a day, that you just stayed 18 hours a day or whatever. I didn't even, it never even entered my mind that there might be a more efficient way to do things. So then I started doing these kind of things like live clinics where you went in person and all these people started talking about weightlifting class. And I was like, wait a minute. And so when I would go and make the first presentation, it's not organized and it gets nowhere. And I get better and better at it. We've been doing it really the exact way we're doing it now is, and efficiently as we're doing it right now, probably about 6 years. Okay. We've had it in place, probably some form of it for maybe eight or 9 years.
Okay.
I don't want to say I wouldn't. Here I am going back. It would be very unlikely for me to coach at another school without it. Okay. Or if they came here to me tomorrow and said, we're doing away with weightlifting class, I would really have to reevaluate. It's just invaluable. We do it first and second period. Yeah. So our kids will work out first during the season. Wednesday is squat day. So I got these goofy signs that I carry around that are like big squat Wednesday, and the kids are walking down, and I'm running in the parking lot with a sign. I'm going crazy. I'm taking them in there. I'm pause squatting them. I'm making them do step ups. I'm making them do split squats. I'm killing them. Y'all done it. You know what it's like. You can't walk, your knees knocked together. Well, they do that at 9 o'clock. By 4 o'clock, that's, they're 15 years old. That's a lot of recovery for them. And then we don't have to worry about lifting before practice. If you lift before practice, the kid's going to hold back in the weight room because it's got practice. If you lift after practice, the kid's already dead. We love it. Monday. All right. So I gave you an overview of Monday right here, just the overview. Now here is the more specifics. Monday, varsity video and on-field activities. 7 o'clock on Monday morning, the varsity DBs watch the video of the Friday night game. Now, if you remember on Sunday, every position group had watched it but the DBs. Now you would say, well, why is that? Well, because the defensive coordinator is a DB coach. When he finishes the film breakdown on Sunday, he likes to go to his house and go get away from everybody and try to finalize what he wants to do for a defensive game plan. And that's when he likes to watch the video with the DBs. A lot of times, 8 out of 10 times, I wouldn't even go. He handles it all. If somebody doesn't show up, he takes care of it. So after school on Monday, every Monday immediately after school, we're going to watch the special teams video from Friday night. Then we're right on the field for special teams practice. The coordinators got the script, all the coaches help. The main focus is ourselves and the correction of our mistakes. There's no time limit here. Now, that's something that's really changed for me as a coach, and I would be more than happy to share with you all, or, we could do a different podcast whenever, or share with anybody. But, none of our practice schedules have times on them. There's never a 10-minute block. It's all a script. And so every single thing you're doing is scripted. And then when you finish through the script, then that's when you know when you go to the next period. So, he's going to have a script of what he wants to do on special teams. Everybody's going to help him, and it's going to take somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. And the main focus is going to be Scott County High School's correction of their mistakes and execution of their game plan. Then we're going to split offense and defense. The defensive game plan is going to get installed. The defense does some tackling and some conditioning and some formation recognition. The offense times plays. I'll have a huge script of plays. We time plays on air. Now, handling of two-way players. We have guys that go both ways. And, I was talking, there was a school in our area that was hiring a new coach. And I was talking to one of their coaches a little bit about it. And it's a very large school. And they've never done this. And I said, why don't you all platoon? Well, I said, you got 80 guys on your varsity, 50 on your freshman team, and you're out there teaching a guy who's a left guard who's barely good enough to be a left guard at the level you want him to, and you're also making him learn right defensive end, which he's never going to go play. So I think that there's a lot of resistance from a lot. You say, I don't even know anything about Fairborn. I have no idea how many players you have. I have no idea how big the school is exactly. but you can't just say, no, we can't platoon. Nope, can't do it. Enough players. Well, you're right, you can't. You're not going to. You're also going to get beat. So, so there's a way that we still allow guys to know how to play on both sides of the ball. The last time we went to the finals in 2018, we played a big lineman ever play of the game, and we played a receiver DB ever play of the game. The other 9 guys had no idea what they were doing on the other side of the ball. So there is a way to handle it. And then the last thing I do before I go home on Monday, even if I go to the freshman game or go coach the JV game, I'm going to come in before I go home on Monday, and I'm going to draw the defensive team book via the script that the defensive coordinator's given me, which I can give you a few little hints on how. I'm sure you guys might use huddle. I still use hand draw.
Okay.
And I'm going to hand draw next year. I want to do that. I like it. So he's going to give me that script of Tuesday or Wednesday of 15 plays, and it'll be like, if we're getting ready to play Bryan Station, it'll be last year's game, play 1. Last year's game, play 6. Play 2. Tate's Creek game, play 31. And so I go through it. I just find all those plays, and I draw up that book. And so I know when I go home on Monday night, I'm ready for practice on Tuesday. Every Tuesday, 7:15 in the morning, we're going to watch a video of the opponent, our defensive coaches, and our defensive varsity players. It's not the JV guys. If Michael Derry's third string D tackle, sophomore, he's not coming in. They know who's coming in. Weight class on Tuesday's always an upper body day. Bench press, incline, push-ups, dumbbells, curls, pull-ups. After school, boom, immediately after school, we're going to watch the opponent's special teams. So there's a time and place to watch all the respective film that you need to watch for who you're going to play assigned into the week of practice. On-field practice, I'm not going to get into the exacts of how we practice on the field. If I try to cover that and cover this, the podcast is going to blow up, and nobody's going to be watching, and your YouTube channel sunk because it takes 3 hours. But on-field practice, I'm happy to share the filmed aspects of practice. I am amazed at the number of people in Kentucky that don't film any aspect of practice. And maybe you guys don't film practice, and right now you're sitting there thinking, oh, coach is telling me about
you do as much
practice. Or maybe you do film a bunch of practice and you'll agree. But guys, the number one teaching tool in high school football is practice film. It's not game film. That's just my opinion. Because you know exactly what you're running in practice. Like we use a ladder to film our offensive stuff. So I just shoot a guy up on the ladder, and it's the concept of an end zone camera. But he's right there behind us. He's sitting there filming us. So the filmed aspects of practice on Tuesday, whatever they are, we're going to go immediately in after practice. We're going to watch it, grade it, and share it. So our trainer, Coach Volpe, which he's 1% chance he ever listens to this either, but he's awesome. He played football. His son played for us. He is the trainer. That's his job. But he's one of those guys that he would really, in another life, he would have been a coach. He would have said, forget training, I'm coaching football. And so, he's our film guy. He just grabs the camera up on the ladder. He knows how to load it. Boom. When we walk in, before we can even get to the computers and sit down, it's all loaded, no DK. Okay, Wednesday, 7:15, defense is going to watch the Tuesday practice tape, and then they're going to watch more of the opponent. Weight class is squat day, big squat Wednesday. I'm always trying to come up with things to motivate. I see these people, they say, if I've got to coach your motivation, I don't want to coach. Well, whatever. I think you got to motivate. I don't expect every kid to just come in there and be like this. What can I do today, coach? How can I get better? That's not high school football. You got guys who maybe don't even really want to be out there all the time. their dad's making them play. So anyway, I have these big signs that I hold up for whatever we're going to do on a respective day, try to get them fired up. After school, the offense reviews the practice tape from Tuesday immediately. Boom, we're on the field practicing. Again, I could share separately what we're going to do in practice, and in post-practice, we're going to review, grade, and share. Now, the defensive coaches show the Wednesday practice film immediately after practice on Wednesday. So you can say, well, how can they get it loaded and marked? Well, they can't really. They can to some degree. So like the trainer, the second he gets done filming, boom, they're in, they get it loaded, they get it marked. The second practice is over on Wednesday. The defensive coaches are in, and they're sitting there waiting. But now they are kind of watching the film at the same time that the kids are watching it all for the first time. But that's what works for our defensive people, and that's what they do. Thursday, 7 o'clock, varsity pregame in game jerseys and shoulder pads. I was a real stickler this year, and I was proud of myself as a coach and proud as our coaches. Anytime you do something real early, what do you maybe have a tendency to let happen? 7 becomes what, Michael? 7:05. And then all of a sudden the next Thursday it becomes 7:08. And you're like, let's go, Bandstra, let's go. I did a really good job this year, which I don't know how you all handled it at your school. People said, oh, COVID's this. It didn't even really bother me because we got to have a season. If they said, the only thing you got to do different, you got to wear a mask, you got to stay spread out, you can't, we stretch, kids have an assigned spot on the field. So out goes Derry, he knows where he is, he goes every day to this certain spot and takes a knee. And I was a real stickler for having them there at 7 o'clock to start this week, and it went great for this year. But we do our varsity pregame in game jerseys and shoulder pads. Post-practice, offense is going to review the Wednesday practice tape. It'll already be set up prior to going out. So before I even go out on the field, I've got it queued up. And so when we walk in, the offensive line coach shows it. He simply walks over to the computer, clicks the computer, and he's ready to go. Weight class is an upper body day on Thursday. And then after school, I'm going to practice the JV with the 3 guys that go to the JV game. So we're going to do a combination of practice, video, and video review. Why? Well, hey guys, if Nicholas Bandstra's son is a sophomore, and Nicholas himself was a high school and maybe a college player, he works, at the UPS store in Fairborn, Ohio, but he's got a son playing. He wants him to practice football. He doesn't want him to just hold the dummy for the varsity the whole season. So we have found a way, this is how we have found a way to create a time where the JV team, not the freshman team, the JV team can practice by themselves without the varsity there, Thursday after school. Then they also can review the film. It's like I'll laugh. Sometimes people will play a JV game and they'll say, can you share that film with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. But why did you film it? Because here, the kid's a sophomore. He's not your star running back on Friday night, but he wants to make a highlight film too. He might not want to put it on Twitter as bad because it's JD or whatever, but he wants to have it. He wants to be able to show his parents. So film your freaking JV games and show them to the kids. Now, do I grade the JV film to the same levels I grade the varsity? No. I don't give them a percentage grade. What I do is I just watch every play, and I make some kind of comment. Very pitiful. Terrible effort, lazing around, won't get it done, you're better than that. Or Bandstra, great, perfect technique on that block, great effort, good job. Then after that, on Thursday, I go to a middle school game.
Now, Coach, for your Thursdays, have you always been shoulder pads on Thursdays, or is that something you've changed over time?
Yes, we've always been shoulder pads. Now, people cringe when they say this, but we don't even have, there's not a set of practice pants in this field house.
Okay.
We wear girdles and shorts from day one to day whatever. And we never tackle to the ground, and we're very physical. Somebody say, well, you can't. Yeah, you can. Our guys are really, that has changed and to the better. I can remember the kid's name was Cody McIntosh as our tight end, and we were just going live. In about 2005 or 6, we hadn't played very good. And he separated his shoulder in practice on Wednesday, couldn't play on Friday, and the guy that I had to put in at tight end wouldn't have started for, so yes, we go shoulder pads only. We go shoulder pads and girdles throughout the week.
Okay.
Anyway, Thursday, I'm always going to go to a middle school game. Do I always feel like going to a middle school game? No. But I'm going to go. I'm going to walk up down the sidelines. I'm going to tell the kids how awesome they are. I'm going to try to learn as many names as humanly possible that I can learn. Friday, weight class. I'm going to let the varsity guys get their equipment ready. I'm going to let them clean it up. We have these little cleaners and towels, and they're expected to clean their cleats and their helmets, and they get their pants ready, they get their belt ready, they have everything ready. I let them have a little bit of time on Fridays during weight class. Non-varsity guys, we're going to do power clean. This is a great opportunity for me to work with my non-varsity guys. After school on Friday, I'll have a set of coaches that take the varsity. They finish cleaning up their equipment. They make sure the equipment's all right. They make sure the uniforms are right. They fix any helmets, buckles. They just do all those things. Then they take them to the meal. Now, during that time period, which is basically 3:45 to 4:30 to 4:45, I'm going to put the JV guys in the weight room with me. Why? For one, it's absolutely, for me, the worst time of the week is from after school on Friday to kickoff. And, we've already talked about what Fairborn's going to do 5 million times. We've been over at 6 million. And so I don't want to sit around and talk. I'm going to take the JV guys in the weight room. We rock it out. Oftentimes I let them max. So I'll let them do like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 power clean. Then I'm sitting there in the weight room. I'll see the varsity guys start to head up. That means the locker room's empty down below. Then I'll take the JV guys down, get them their stuff. We'll go to the meeting. Friday pregame meeting. We do a pregame meeting every Friday after the meal in the auditorium. The only time this changes is if we have a long away game. Like when we played at the pit at Elder, we did the pregame meeting in the bleachers at the pit. But I like to give out the weekly awards. The little helmet stickers, the big stick. I like to, part of our pregame meeting every week is I have everybody's attendance printed for the week. And so if Michael Derry has only missed 2 class periods or less, he's going to get 2 helmet stickers. If Bandstra's missed 10 class periods, then right in front of everybody, I'm all over Bandstra. I'm like, Bandstra, this is a friggin' joke, man. What's going on? You got to miss 10 class periods? It's ridiculous. So we have our weekly awards and our weekly review, and we lay out our plans for the coming week during that pregame meeting. Then we're going into warm-ups. I'm just going to ask and force you guys to answer, but do you consciously make an effort to involve the JV in your pregame warm-ups?
Ours are, yes.
Okay, great. That was something I would have never have thought at your age. But now, when we warm up, during pregame, our JV has 2 designated times where they get to go out and run plays or run defense. And I just think it's important because I don't want to say kids are different. Kids are very similar over my 30 years. Parents are a little different. And, the thought process of going home and Michael Derry's dad saying, hey, suck it up. You can't quit. It's not an option. You started out. You're going to finish. The coaches might not be playing you as much as you think you want to play. You need to keep getting better. You need to keep working. That has maybe lessened a little, so I'm always looking at conscientious ways to involve everybody. Then we're going to play the game. Bam. That's 1 week. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing the next week. At some point in time in there, we're going to have an open date of which we're going to do virtually nothing. We're going to lift weights in class, and we might come in 1 day because that's, what I just went over is a grind for kids. It's 6 days a week. It's early morning, 3 out of 4 mornings during it's early morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so it's tough and it requires a big commitment. Two other things before I wrap up and cover this stuff. Personal pet peeves of mine, and not that anybody really is expected to listen to my personal pet peeve, but as football coaches, I always really want to encourage all football coaches. How many conversations have we had and we have griped about basketball or baseball coaches? Like we've griped about, well, they don't want them playing football. They've got them in the gym all the time. But the baseball guys, I even see guys on Twitter, kids, they'll play football games on Friday night and travel out of state and play baseball all day on Saturday and Sunday. And, I would just always encourage us as football coaches to never be the obstacle for a high school kid playing another sport. Just don't do it. Just find a way around it. Some people say that's up to the parents, whether or not a kid plays another sport. Yes. What if the kid whose parents aren't really involved and don't really understand what's going on? I think as high school coaches, we have a responsibility. If you see something in somebody and you get the word that Michael Derry's thinking about not playing baseball, instead of sort of beating your chest out and saying, well, look, I guess we're a football school now. Derry's gonna give up baseball. Well, it's not about me. I say go to Derry and say, hey, Derry, man, you're nuts. What are you doing? What do you mean you ain't playing baseball? You crazy? And then lastly, something that's really worked big for us, and when I say it, a lot of people cringe, but, we've given our kids a month of June off for about 12 years. And, man, it's good. They're in that now with COVID, everything's different. I know that. If there's anybody in the United States of America that wants to go back to school and go back to weightlifting class any more than me, I don't know who they are. I hope that that's what's going to happen on January 23rd or 4th, I think, whenever we're supposed to go back. But we lift those guys 5 days a week year round. We practice the heck out of them in July and August. We have found that when school gets out at the end of May, we just cut them loose. We do our youth camp and cut them loose, and we see them the Monday after our dead period in Kentucky, and give them a little break away from football. Feel free to reach out to that email, that cell phone number. I'd really appreciate a follow, that Twitter account, and I'll follow you back and be glad to answer any questions you guys have. If not, we'll wrap it up and be done, and thank you very much.
Yeah, you mentioned June off there, so once you started giving June off, how did that affect your July? Did it add more days to your July? How much did that? What's your July?
Here's what our July is. We're going to give them June off, and Kentucky has. I don't know what Ohio's rules are exactly. Do you all have some type of dead time or dead period?
Not really. We were limited on the number of days we could use of camp related, and then most people with common sense live 3 to 4 days a week during the summer.
What we do in Kentucky, from June the 25th to July the 10th, we're not allowed to see them, and all the school facilities have to be closed. So I got to thinking and working in my mind there. Okay, we're roughly going to get out of school and have our youth camp and all that. We're roughly going to finish that June 1. And so June 1 to June 25th, we're looking at 3.5 weeks where, you're going to lift them, like you said, 3 to 4 days a week. They're going to be playing baseball. They're going to be playing basketball. They're going to be working. They're going to be on family trips. So, you're not going to have, I don't care if you're King High School 101 that's won 80 gazillion games in a row. I have a hard time believing you're going to have every single kid there every single day in June. So we just got to thinking, we're talking about 9 lifts here. 9 lifts. And, so we'll give them off. Now, we start back the Monday after the dead period. And for the first full week, we're bringing them in. And it's funny because, when they get there the first day, it's like, hey, Nicholas, what's up, man? What's up? They hug, they haven't seen each other for about 5 weeks. And so it's kind of that little fall camp starts. But anyway, we're going to, the whole full first week, they're coming in age groups. Seniors at 9, juniors at 10, sophomores at 11. They're spending an hour in the weight room with me and an hour on the track with the defensive coaches. So, we're going to lift them and run them every day for a week to just try to get them reacclimated. And then into the second week, it's a combination week of 3 days of lift and run, 2 days of practice. Then the third week, it becomes more practice, and then eventually it becomes all practice. But I tell you what I have found, the first thing that would go in somebody's mind, you think, ooh, man, what about the strength you're going to lose? You're not really. They're 16 years old. Now, when I get in there and lift, which I still do, when I take off for extended periods of time, I lose it fast and it takes me longer to get it back. Usually by Labor Day is my goal that I have set in my mind, that by Labor Day, I want to have every kid on the team doing what he could do when we left in June.
Okay. And then my next question there is, you mentioned you're in the weight room. Is there anybody in the weight room with you at all during any of these periods?
Sometimes, yes. Right now, our principal is a big helper. Right now, I have an assistant coach in there with me first hour, and I was supposed to have another assistant coach in there with me second hour, and she just came to me and said, with so many kids learning virtually versus so many in the classroom, there's just no way I can get Coach Monty down there right now. And I said, oh, okay, Miss Williams, I understand. But yes, in a normal school year, I'm going to have an assistant coach with me in both classes.
Okay. Mike, you got anything?
I really, and I think it's super important to understand, and I think you got a good understanding of it, is, one of my best players defensively, he's a Friends G1 football player and was a Friends G1 baseball player. And, he always missed. My first year coming, all these coaches got mad because he would miss a lot of Thursdays because he'd go travel baseball.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm so happy because that kid's going out and competing. I mean, to me, just if you're going out and you're competing, that is more valuable than going through a 2-hour workout or practice. Because you're going out, you're learning, you're competing, you're having fun. There's no burnout. And I think, you talk about all these guys get mad that, and I'm a victim of it. People go to basketball games and they're like, oh, I just got not playing football. And then these guys come out to football and you're mad that they have an AAU tournament. But like sometimes we got to understand that, maybe football isn't their sport. Maybe football just is their second favorite sport and it's more of a hobby for them. So, but if basketball is their sport, you got to kind of work with them, right? I mean, if they can help the school out, I mean, if they're out there making your school better by playing multiple sports, man, you got to be just as much of an advocate for them, you being okay. As long as they're not lying and they're actually going to tournaments, man. I think that's important that everyone sees that you support that. I love that you hit the nail on the head, coughing on that one, man. That was pretty good.
Well, my uncle was a longtime coach and then became a school administrator. He finished his career in Georgia and outside Metro Atlanta. And he would ask me, he said, what's a high school football coach's number one job? And I've asked people this in my various different presentations, especially when there's a large group. I'll start off with presentation. What's your number one job? And so, you guys will raise your hand. Okay, my number one job is to win. Number one job is to develop character. Number one job is to get kids in college. Number one job is to, run a sound program that emphasizes the right things, this and that. And all those are a part of it. Of course you want to help build character and you want to have some kids go play at the next level. But, my uncle would always say, your number one job as a high school coach is when the first Friday night that you have a game comes in August and the ball's kicked off, you better have the best football players in that school out there on that field. How you get them there is up to you. But you can't let that guy get away. I give a kid, I love the kid a hard time. My middle son was a real good baseball player, and he now plays football at Austin Peay, and he just kind of got in his mind he wasn't going to play baseball. I thought it was a terrible idea. I said, Colby, this is the worst idea in history. You've got to play baseball. And I probably made it worse. If I would have probably shut up, he might have would have played. But he ends up not playing, and his real good buddy, a kid named Cam Hill, who's at Kentucky playing baseball right now, he ends up not playing football. So we lose in the state semifinals 46-45. Cam was a safety. And even when I see him today, I'm like, Cam, you know, you don't think you would have made a 1 point difference? And we'd have been back in the state finals that year. We lose in the state baseball tournament 3-2 to McCracken County that same year. And I tell Colby, I said, Colby, you don't think you could, in 4 at-bats, you could have knocked 1 run in? You know you could. So, you know, when those things happen, and I guess this is maybe a inward, you shouldn't say this because you're making it about yourself, but that makes me feel like a daggone failure, like as a coach. Like when a kid quits, that's a decent kid. I don't care how good he is. He's a decent kid. He seems to have, you know, helped your team a little bit. He decides not to play. I feel like I failed that kid somewhat. So I think our number one job is we got to find a way, come that first Friday night in August, we got all the best football players at Fairborn out there. Now, I'm not talking about the kid that's a complete troublemaker, disaster, runs your locker room. I'm just saying he's a decent kid. He's from a decent family. He's got a little football background. Get him out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Like, I mean, that's part of our job. Like, I mean, I've interviewed for head coaching jobs before, and I mean, that's always a top. Like, how do you, like, and that's one thing I always bring up about is recruiting the building, getting numbers up, building relationships. Like, because let's be honest, a lot of these schools that struggle, they struggle because they don't get kids out, whether it be grades, whether it be wrong conversations, experiences.
You know, you're going. It's like I told you about running the plays. You know, if all you do is just run these same 2 plays, you got to be willing to fail. You got to be, and you know, you got to start building the rapport. I spent a lot of time early in my career trying to talk to Michael Derry because he was a good-looking athlete, playing basketball or baseball, and he was a sophomore. And I was trying to get him out of football. Well, he never played. And so if I did get him out, unless it was a very unique situation, you know, I'm starting from ground zero. I'm saying, dude, pull out all those ear holes on your helmet when you put the helmet on. You know, they had no idea. So, you know, I went to where 95% of my emphasis is building rapport with them early in their career in middle school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And focusing on the kids that are playing football, not as much on the kids that aren't. Now, I will still go to middle school basketball games. I always have, always will. And I'll stand there and talk to them and say, okay, who's that? Who's that? Well, now that kid right there doesn't play. And I'll touch base with that kid's parents right then. And, you know, I might tell right away, there's no way there, or maybe there is. But my saying 90% of my focus right now is on middle school age kids that already play football. Can't lose them. Can't lose them. Not losing them is more important than picking up others, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now, last question for you before we go. You mentioned middle school there. What do you guys have Pee Wee football there?
We do.
And then how involved are you with that and talking, communicating, and?
Not very. You know, it's not like when I first came here 24 years ago, I would go to the youth football board meetings. All 3 of my sons played in the youth football organization here, so I watched it all firsthand. Brian Hickey was a long-time president, did a great job. Dr. Robert Waring did a tremendous job. Guy named Adam Crace is the president now. His son's a freshman offensive lineman for us. You know, Adam's an engineer. We've been really lucky that we have sharp guys in charge. And, you know, I go to their little summer clinic every year and I talk with them and talk with their coaches, and I'll continue to do that. I don't know what's going on with youth football in your all's town, but I'm really happy here that we still have what you would call an intramural league, meaning like we've got junior and senior tackles. So we've got like the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers. And it's all inter-county. So everybody's going to play everybody twice and have a little tournament. Unfortunately, and I would say some parents, when you talk to them, they'll tell you, well, it's fortunate. This is the way we need to be doing it. It's not the way I think they need to be doing it, but, you know, some surrounding counties here have gone to just 1 team per age group. So, like, they have a 3rd grade team, a 4th grade team, and a 5th grade team, and then they go play other counties' 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teams. And football is a numbers game. And so who's going to succeed in middle school football? the older, bigger, stronger kid. And then, the kid, he might dominate a seven. My oldest son absolutely dominated middle school football. He was older, he was bigger, he was stronger, he was faster, he had a high football IQ. All right, when he was a junior, all that gap narrowed down. And there were kids that he would dominate as eighth graders that were his equal or even his better as a junior. Football's a numbers game. So one thing, I would get involved if I got word that they were dumping the little inter-county league and going to a travel team, then I would go down there and say, hey guys, are we sure we want to do this? But now, Adam Crace, if you're listening, you've done a great job. Keep it up. I'll be there in July to speak to the clinic.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, and I mean, this was very eye-opening is probably not the right word. It was very informative. Because I always enjoy
utilizing mornings.
Yeah.
And especially on Thursday, and freeing up time. Because I think most kids would rather show up at 7 o'clock and leave before 6 o'clock than come in at 7:30, but then really don't get out of here until 7 o'clock. And by the time you get home and fed, it's 8 o'clock. So I really like how you use mornings. How hard was it for you to sell the weight class?
It was hard because my presentation initially wasn't good. I was younger. I thought I knew, I got 3 sons, and one's 25, he knows everything. One's 22, he knows everything. One's 19, he's close to knowing everything. And, I didn't go about it the right way. I was of the mindset that, hey, if you want to help football, you need to do this. I'm the football coach, do this. Well, looking back, I probably didn't approach it the right way. Once I approached it pretty well close to the right way, it was not a hard sale. Okay. And the biggest thing that happened is we had an assistant principal here who had a son that played football. And he was in 8th grade, and the assistant principal came to me and said, hey, I'd like to get my son involved in some conditioning. Of course, I'm sitting there thinking, dude, we don't do 8th graders in the weight room. That's just not our style. We start kids lifting in August of 9th grade, but I'm not going to tell the assistant principal no. And so I said, sure, absolutely. Have him there Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week, 7:15 a.m. Well, he did that about 2 weeks, and he came and he said, Coach, is there no way we can do this during school? Because he's having to get up at 6:30, 6:15, get his kid breakfast, drive him to town, make sure he's, the kid works out for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Kid's about to die. He's got to somehow slap his clothes on, get a shower, not get a shower, whatever, get up to class, and he's dead. And so I said, yeah, Joe, we can do it during school. I've been trying to get you all to do it for years. And he's like, well, let's go to work on it. So then I went to work on it with the support of someone in our administration, and it was pretty easy.
All right.
There we go.
No, that's great, Coach. And like I said, I thank you again for coming on. It was very informative. I always enjoy learning how coaches schedule their weeks. Everybody does it a little differently. And like I said, if you can take some nuggets here and there from somebody, it's always a great opportunity. Coaches, make sure you follow Coach on Twitter if you have a Twitter. If you have any further questions for him, his email and his cell phone number are on the screen. If you're listening on the Anchor or Spotify apps, they will be in the bio of the video, so you can get a hold of Coach that way, along with his Twitter bio will be in there as well. We appreciate Coach coming on. We may have him try to get him back on in the future, maybe next spring, later this spring, see how all this COVID stuff and how our schedules work. Like, hopefully us and him are both back in person. That's kind of the goal. So that was another episode of the Gap Down Backer podcast.